Hello and welcome to the Survivor Reality Family Podcast. My name is Noah, and with me we have Luke and Patrick. Luke and Patrick, how's it going?
Hello.
Doing awesome.
Yeah, great weekend.
Yeah, you enjoy how was your Valentine's Day?
Great. I went to upstate New York, so it was freezing, but it was really nice.
Nice.
I spent time with my girlfriend, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I work in hospitality, so I was stuck at work. So
Right. Probably a big weekend for it.
Yeah, mine was pretty chill. I did have a really bad allergic reaction, but I survived, so we're all good. But yeah, it was nice having a fantastic week of Australian Survivor, as well as the premiere of our Winners at War, which is going to be the big focus today. Yeah, what did you guys think of the Winners at War premiere?
I mean, we've just been anticipating this season for so freaking long. Like, it seems like years ago that like I first saw like the Inside Survivor article that like had like the rumored cast, and it was just like, finally it started. And then I just had anxiety the entire episode, so it was bittersweet.
Yeah, I like the 2 hours. I'm always a fan of having more time to watch content and stuff.
It flew by too.
Yeah, ridiculously fast. When I looked up and it was like 9:30 my time, so it's like only a half hour left, I was like, I can't believe we made this far into it. It was crazy though. It's just weird to see these people back on screen again after some of them haven't been on for years, so it's wild.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and I love having Tony home.
Yeah,
where he belongs.
He made it through an episode, 2 episodes.
Yeah, look at that. Time. He's on a good streak.
I don't know if you guys saw Redmond posted some. He's not doing like the Edgic article this season, but he's doing just kind of like a general like summary of edits, and he's kind of like going through like the pros and cons of people's games. And the con he put for Tony was he's Tony, and I was just like, yeah,
that's it.
It's just like when he's going, he just can't stop.
Yeah,
He really minimized his risk too, which is kind of crazy. Not that I didn't think he would make it through the first episode, but I'm pleasantly surprised to see that he's chilling. He made through 2 boots.
Yeah, I was really hoping that since he was such an early boot the second time he played, that hopefully that lowered his threat level and kind of more evened him out.
Well, I think it also just gave him a reality check. He realized that like the game that he played worked on Cagayan only, and you can't do that every time. And like I don't even know what he was doing in Game Changers. It wasn't even how he played in Cagayan necessarily. Like it was just like straight out of the gate, crazy. And I feel like not only did it help reduce his threat level, but he just like needed to like get it out, get it out of your system.
Yes.
You're not the best Survivor player of all time. You're great, but like
what?
You just down and just,
do we agree with that?
Yeah.
I feel like
no,
I was cracking up in Tribal Council though when Tony was like saying like however calm everybody was and everybody's holding back, and Amber's like, that was holding back? Like you were being calm? Yeah. Like no, Tony was running around like crazy.
You're lucky, Amber. It could have been way worse.
No. I think if I remember in Game Changers, there was like once they hit the beach, he did run off into the forest saying, I'm gonna go look for some idols. But when he was doing that, he was trying to be ironic or something, like because he knew they'd be expecting him to, so he thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
But like they took it a little bit more too seriously than he would have liked him to.
Yeah. Well, if you don't come back right away, then obviously you are looking for the idols. So it's like whether you were actually like pretending or it was a joke or whatever, like he was out there looking. So
and he was by himself too. Like even in this episode, unless I can't remember, maybe I'm just not. No, I don't think anyone went out by themselves. And if they did, it was for something like really quick.
Adam and Denise. But like no one.
Yeah, well those two. But like I think
we know,
And Amber went out for like 1 second to get brush. It looked like so she could weave the top or help Wendell weave or make the shelter. And she was gone for what looked like maybe 5-10 minutes, which is a normal amount if she's going to like pick up wood and stuff.
Yeah.
So. All right. Hang on. Sorry, I think my phone's about to die. I might have to take out my headphones to charge it. We'll see if you can still hear me afterwards.
Okay.
But,
we'll get started on. We should talk about the first challenge.
Yeah,
I was very into it.
It was epic.
It was. I didn't think it would be that crazy, and I knew we knew what it kind of vaguely was going to be, but to see that it actually turned out to be this huge physical challenge was insane.
Yeah, I mean, seeing like Natalie Anderson like get pulled over by people like Sarah and Cam, that was like the most surprising part for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like Natalie was a beast. She was like like a motorboat through that water, get into the
Yes.
whatever, like or whatever they had to grab.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like Natalie is just gonna like totally strong arm these people all the way. They have no chance. And she like lost both rounds she was in. I was like, dang, these girls are strong.
They're ridiculous. And I think the cast of women on this season, strategically strong, socially strong, they're physically strong too. It's crazy.
And we lost 2 of them.
I know. Off the bat too.
Yeah, I know. It was hard.
So that challenge was crazy. Coming out of it too, I was kind of worried seeing. Okay, first of all, I was glad that they're giving them 2 days. So it was day 1, and it would be a day 2 boot. I think that's very significant for them to get an extra day to get their footing. And then when they stepped down on the beach, I can't wait. So the one that went to Tribal Council was Rob's tribe. Who else was on it? We got Rob, Ben, Danny, Parvati, Ethan. Who were more than you? Jeremy, Natalie, of course, and then and then Wendell. Is Wendell on that one, or is he in the other one?
Wendell's on the
right. So we go into there and we see those dynamics. What did you guys think of the alliances coming out of that first tribe?
I was a little confused in kind of how they were all situated. Like I could see Parvati and Rob were like a duo, and then
it's Ethan, I think.
They had Ethan and Danny on their side as well. But other than that, I couldn't really tell what the alliances were.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I got a little bit less insight because I feel like on the other tribe we had like Sophie and Yule basically just like laying out like these people are together. There's this group and there's this group, and like it was just pretty black and white. I feel like it was kind of blurry on the other tribe, and it was kind of just telling us that Rob and Parvati are kind of pulling the strings, at least on the first vote.
I agree too. Yeah.
And I think like in the second half though, people did like already catch on to that Rob and Parvati were.
I mean, how can you know?
So
it's wild.
So maybe they do have like a 4-strong alliance on that tribe, but like nobody. Maybe it's not like a majority alliance, but like their alliance might just be on the bottom of like
of the tribe.
Weird, yeah.
And what I find interesting about it too is the Ben scenario where Ben is kind of like put into this like stronghold by Rob, where he's basically like, tell me what's happening. And Ben in his confessional was just like, I couldn't stop, so I just told him. To me, going into the season, if you would have told me after the first 2 episodes, that I would be rooting for Boston and Rob, I'd be like, that's crazy to me. But going into it, the fact that he's working with Parvati, who I love, makes me like, so I want him to get further. But I'm also like, as someone who wants like, you know, a strategic person, not he's strategic, but I want like a Parvati or someone like that to go deep. I'm like, who's going to get him out besides like Sandra or besides Parvati herself? Like some of the new school people really have to turn it up and realize like he is Boston Rob, but he will beat you. He will beat you.
And I do think that was like one thing that the new players, or specifically the people who've only played one time, like they were really like a deer in headlights on the first vote. Like nobody wanted to be the first vote. And like, so everybody was just fine with whatever. As they didn't want to say the plan, they were just like happy to get on board with whatever.
Right.
And I feel like that was like part of why Natalie went home is you saw that scene where Parvati was like, guys, who are we voting for? And everybody would just kind of like start to say a name, then they'd like take it back. I'm like, I don't want to decide, you decide. And it was just like, that's why it was so easy for Rob and Parvati to take controls, because nobody wanted to be the person to say a name in fear that it comes back on them.
Exactly.
Right. Especially when you have Danny, who did throw out Rob's name so quickly,
right,
and then he just confronts her, and then she just slips to his side.
I was shocked when I saw her like starting to throw out names. I was like, Danny, like, what are you doing? Like, calm down. And I got it back, but I was like, I was very surprised that she was like even saying Rob's name in the first place. And like, I think that probably helped her to kind of, you know, take a step back, calm down, and kind of get an old school alliance. And that's really good.
Yeah, and I feel like normally that wouldn't have been, or that shouldn't have worked out so good for her afterwards.
Right.
But the fact that like Rob confronted her and she told the truth, and Rob liked that was, I guess, pretty good. And that, I don't think that's how the situation would normally unfold.
No, I mean, he's starving for allies. Like anybody who is willing to align with him, he's going to do it. And I feel like he probably doesn't want to align with some of the new schooler. Like, I don't think that he wants to align with a player like Adam, who is going to be very aware of Boston Rob's threat level and like will not want him to get far. Right. So I feel like someone like Danny is more likely to do what he says.
Exactly, and that's what I found crazy. And the fact that he can do whatever he wants and make it work for his advantage. Like kind of that's kind of what Noah was saying too, but just in the sense that Danny, someone calling him out, you would think that would be like him getting on his like fight or flight and being like, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? That's what I would do if I was on Survivor. I feel like that's what a lot of even 2-time players would do. But the fact that he has the wherewithal to be like, no, I've played this game 4 or 5 times. I've been on the island 5 times. Like I know what to do now, and spinning it in a positive direction. And that's kind of where my next question is too. The fact of like, and it's more so just clarification for me. Who is even the engineer of the vote out of Natalie? So who, like, like who made it?
I would say that Adam was the one that said Jeremy and Natalie are a pair, and I feel like from there I could maybe kind of say that I think Parvy and Rob did some of the legwork on it.
Right.
But I do think that like Adam was the person like Adam or Denise would have gone home if Adam had not said there's stronger relationships here. We have to get us somebody who's actually like tight outside of the game, not me and Denise who just met. So I give the most credit to Adam.
I agree.
Yeah, I think like one of the best moves of the whole episode, or one of my favorite parts at least, was like at Tribal when Adam was saying that him and Denise are on the block, but they only just met 2 days ago, and there are people who have played before and have friendships outside that should be the bigger threat than them. I thought that was awesome and hilarious. But yeah,
because it's true too. Because when they're all around the well, and Natalie even brings up, "Oh, we should vote Adam out," and they're kind of like, "Well, who do we want to vote out?" Going back to what you were saying before, Luke, it's like wild that they weren't like, they didn't blame Natalie for it, but it's almost like she was giving them a person, and it was the person that eventually got her out.
Well, she was, but then like she wouldn't like stick to it. It was kind of like, well, do Adam or Denise? Like, I don't feel like anybody was really saying like one name or the other. Like, no one was putting their foot down. It was kind of like, well, I think Adam, but I could do Denise too. It was like, no, you just have to. Somebody has to be the person to just fucking stand up and say, we're doing the name. That's it.
Exactly.
And that's what everybody wanted, and that's why it works so well to just be dictated to by Parvy and Rob.
It's so weird. And I feel like if this were like Aussie Survivor, they would have just been like, okay, who's the first person? Rob. Oh, who's the first person? Natalie. Okay, and they go into it, and at the very last second, they'll switch. That's what we've seen a lot in All-Stars, not to bring it up too prematurely, but in Australian All-Stars, they'll literally right before Tribe will be like, if they're switching the plan, they'll switch it, and then that'll happen, and that's where they guide it from. But here, like you were saying, it's like no one stuck to their guns. There was like 4 or 5 people who could have voted out, and what's craziest to me, like going to the first Tribal Council, is that Rob and Parvy didn't even get a vote. No one voted for them. Like I know that's like a well said thing at this point, and it's like a dead horse, but it's like no one voted for them. Like if you would have told me that like Rob and Parvati and Sandra and Tony and Kim make it through the first tribal, Kim was the only one that got votes out of them. That's insane. Or the first 2 tribals, like that is insane. Like they made it past it.
I love that scene of Rob and Parvati just sitting on the beach, like, you heard your name? No. You heard yours? No. And like, what is going on? Like one of them said like, we're playing Survivor for everybody. And it was just so funny because I didn't expect them to work together. I'm like, history is history. Like they're gonna be working against each other. But to see them work together so effectively, laughing their asses off at how effective it was amazing.
Fire.
Yeah, I like definitely felt what they were saying. I'm like, yeah, this is probably one of the one times that they are comfortable, and that's okay.
Yeah, they don't have to worry about it because no one's gunning for them. It was weird. It was weird to watch. I couldn't imagine being on the island like them, being there for like the 4th or 5th time, and they're like, no one cares? No one's gonna vote us? Okay, cool. I'll just keep going then.
And yeah, so I think that's like why the reason why the 4 people you named didn't get votes except Kim when you would expect them to is because they all seem to know that and are working with each other.
Right.
Like it really seems like Tony and Sandra have supposedly gotten over their game changers issues,
right.
and not even on the beach, but like after that season they must have worked on becoming friends again.
Pretty trip to Australia, drinking together probably helps up a little bit.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, they really got to know each other like since they were both pre-merge and they were hanging out like, pre-jury.
Right.
Yeah.
They got to chill. Well, then that's the thing too. So coming out of it, Natalie gets voted off, and so she gives it to her fire token to Jeremy, not to yada yada. At that point, I feel like that's very important. But for me, going into Edge of Extinction, I didn't think I wasn't that high on Edge of Extinction part like 1.0 and 38, I was like, okay, like this is kind of whatever. I get the whole like losers bracket idea that Jeff's like, he fantasizes about. But coming into this season, I low-key like it. Like, I don't dislike it. I'm at the point where I'm like, I would definitely get rid of this if given the opportunity and it was my job. But like, I don't know, the fire tokens add something to it for me. At least in what we've seen so far. It hasn't really interfered too much. Sandra has an idol. We'll see how she plays it, but the currency adds another layer to it. It adds another layer of duplicity.
I mean, you could do fire tokens without Edge of Extinction 100%. Too.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you ask me, do I want to keep Natalie and Anderson on my screen or not? Like, I do. And Edge of Extinction is like the price I have to pay for that. And I agree with you. If it was in my hands, I would not have it. But I don't mind it either. So
yeah.
Right. It's kind of like the idea as a twist, I just rather not have to deal with at all because of like, I don't know. I don't like that you can technically lose the game and then still win when there are people who never got voted out who can still make it all the way to the end and lose.
Right.
I don't know. I just don't like that part, but
the screen time thing, that's the biggest thing for me is like it takes away screen time from the game that we actually want to watch.
100%.
That's a good one too. But I mean, yeah, if we're talking about, I mean, it exists. It's a reality that we got to deal with. From there, yeah, the fire tokens definitely do make it more interesting. And I think yeah, it'll be nice that it gives people kind of a second chance almost. I don't know. It's like weird.
Yeah.
It's like, at what point, I don't know. Is it not a game anymore, or I don't know. It's weird.
There's
Sorry.
Early on in the episode where he said that kind of the new school players might have an advantage with fire tokens because they're used to all these new twists. And he said something to the effect of, I think the winner this season will be determined, with fire tokens. Something to that effect. The fire tokens are going to have an effect on who wins the game. So I could definitely see. I think it's not just going to be one of those things kind of like brushed aside, like kind of like a secondary thing. It's going to be part of the main. Well, it's going to be driving what's happening to some extent. And I mean, we even see already that like Sandra got an idol. Like that's crazy.
Right.
I mean,
she has to find it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. And she basically solidifies it on the notion of her being a strategic player that Natalie can come back into the game with and maybe leverage that for power. Like, not saying she didn't do anything, but the only thing she did was have such a high threat level and such like a playability rate that Natalie was like, let me give her an idol. And of course, Natalie gets
friends too. They've met outside the game.
Right. So, yeah. And it's like a meta type social game where it's like literally outside of the game, social game, and which we've of course seen with the Poker Alliance thing, which comes in the second hour too. But
returning Flair season to an extent.
Right.
Yeah. I thought that was like the real theme of this premiere is the outside show alliances. And to be honest, I felt like it took a lot away from the show. And it's kind of like, I mean, yeah, this is about as perfect as we're ever going to get. But it just, and it makes sense that would be a reality. It's just, you can't help but wish almost that everyone was just meeting each other for the first time this season.
I agree, but at least they're showing it to us and like showing like people are making their decisions based off of these outside the game alliances. So like we're not going to pretend that they don't exist or like not acknowledge these people played poker together.
Right.
So I appreciate that because I don't think we've ever had where would flashback something outside of the game.
Yeah,
so
I thought that was
appreciate
wild.
that. Yeah,
that was weird, but it was cool.
Oh yeah, I keep losing both of you. It's weird.
Oh,
there we go.
Are we all good? Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm really interested to see where these fire tokens go. And did you guys catch anything that maybe I missed? Can they get tokens in any other way than just being willed them?
The only way, I know in certain challenges that might be tribal, from what I've read outside of like the show, that there might be like a tribal challenge that is worth like 1 fire token each, which is interesting. But I've also heard on some like other feeds and like other podcasts that they might just keep the currency the same where the maximum amount is only 20. I think either way is cool. Like if it's like, oh, you want to like, there's like 5 people left on a tribe, they win, they each get 1 fire token. That's cool. But if there's 20 maximum, I think that's even more interesting because like that means at some point someone could have like extreme leverage in the game over like something that there's only a finite amount of. Like that just adds more to it, which would be cool.
And do we also know if they can like split their tokens when they will them to someone, or do they have to will all of them?
To one? Could.
Yeah, right. Yeah, give 1 to one and 1 to someone else. That's like a different way of thinking of it too. I didn't even imagine that. But yeah, why not? Because they have all the chests out there too, like the 20 chests.
Yeah, I think it's going to be better if they don't make a lot of fire tokens exist. Kind of like you said, like the finite amount, because it's going to get way too confusing if like this person has 9 fire tokens, this person has 2. Like that's too much like a disparity. Like if everyone's kind of keeping theirs and like 5 tokens is kind of like the maximum anyone's going to accumulate, that's probably better. But it blew my mind like how cheap the stuff on Edge of Extinction was. Like, like pretty much any food or comfort item was 1 token, and an advantage in the comeback challenge was also 1 token. I'm like, how is an advantage in a challenge to come back into the game the same price as peanut butter?
Yeah, exactly.
And then like the idol is 3 points, but like there's no point in buying an idol unless you can be back in the game. So
right.
I don't know. That was weird to me. It's like I wouldn't buy an idol because my goal is just to make it back in the first place.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting too that they wouldn't even make like the advantage in a challenge like 2 tokens, because like I agree with what you're saying. Yeah. It's like a weird system because like you said, it's a lot of 1 token items and then 1 3 token item that isn't necessarily something you're even gonna get. So why wouldn't you buy an advantage in the challenge if it's already 1 token? And my question too, when I was thinking about it, was like, if it's 1 token and I have 3, can I get 3 separate advantages for the challenge, or should I just use my other 2 tokens on food then?
I think you could. I feel like it's gonna be one of those things where like there's gonna be a lot of little advantages you can take. So like maybe everybody is going to be having, you know, at least 2 or so advantages when they get to the comeback challenge.
Right.
Yeah. And then it's like, so when the people on Edge of Extinction sell their idol, and now like Natalie has Sandra's token, where does that token go when Natalie uses it?
Right.
I think it just goes. I don't think it goes to anybody. I think it just like goes to the bank.
It's just inventory.
You know, like Monopoly money.
Yeah.
But then if that happens like every episode where someone on Extinction sells an idol, then eventually no one's going to have any actual tokens in the game.
Yeah, there is going to have to be some way for people to earn new ones.
Right.
Or maybe find them. Like maybe they're going to be hidden. Like an idol would be hidden. I don't know.
That's not a bad idea either. Like instead of having idols on the island, they just have like a bundle of 1 or 2. That'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to find them because no one found an idol. Not that, I mean, no one, I was going to say not for lack of trying, but no one really tried to because they knew they had to stay close to camp. So I'm curious when they start like, finally getting out there if they're going to find like a fire token here or like an advantage there. I'm sure they will.
Yeah. And I also noticed kind of on the rewatch, the idol, like the immunity idol that they win at the competition is like a skull and crossbones. And I think the eyes are fire tokens.
Yeah.
So maybe someone's going to figure that out and just rip them off and now
just pop them off.
Obvious. So I think that I don't think they're allowed to, because I've seen that on Twitter. Like, who's going to be the first person to realize, you know, that they can take the eyes out? I'm like, I don't think that they can. I think that's just part of like the aesthetic of it all.
Right. One thing I was thinking too, like if you could leverage, I'm sure you can leverage your fire token for like safety in the game. Because if my thought process was like, if someone's telling me, oh, I'm not going to vote you out, trust me on everything, I'm not going to vote you out, but give me your fire token then. Give me it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just literally like
hand it to me and it's mine. And if you vote me out, I get to will it these 2 fire tokens that I have now to whoever I want because you lost yours. Like that's like, I'm curious. And I'm sure they can. Why? It's like an idol at that point. It's like an advantage that they just give.
Yeah.
That's how I would play it.
Yeah, I'm curious and quite interested to see where this is going to go. I do like the idea of Survivor having currency now. It's just going to be about, you know, kind of how it works.
Yeah.
And how the economy, I guess, comes out. And I'm excited. Well, yes. So how did you feel about Amber going out first on her drive?
I mean, if I had to pick between Amber, Tyson, or Kim, I'm picking Amber to go out every time. Like, come on. Like, those three, I mean, they're all legends in their own respect, but, like, to me, Amber is not very stimulating television. Whereas, like, I mean, Kim is a legend. She's an icon, and, like, we need to see her play more. Like, I want to see her have a fair chance. And, I mean, Tyson is just incredible TV, too. So, was fine.
Yes.
Best case, yeah.
Yes.
I couldn't help but feel sorry for her, you know?
Yeah. Because she did leave a lot. I mean, I'm sure it was hard to, like, leave 4 kids behind. And, like, Jeff said that Amber was, like, the biggest get of the season for him because, like, she wasn't willing to. He didn't think that she would play.
Right.
So.
That's what held him off. And I think, like, he visibly looked a little, like, not mad or upset because he's obviously neutral, but you could tell he wasn't, like, sometimes people get voted off. He's like, wow, that was crazy. Or sometimes, like, if it's a dickhead that gets voted off, he's like, wow, that was, thank God. Like John Rocker's voted off. But, like, this time you could see he was like, wow, like, that really sucks. Like, I can't believe we lost Amber second. But now she's going to be, like, not to go back to the fire tokens and Edge, but now she could theoretically, if she finds things like Natalie did, feed them back into the game for Rob.
Yeah.
And no one's really going to think of her as a threat to come back in, especially right now. They're both strong women, but Natalie Anderson is a CrossFit instructor. Like, she is huge. She is yoked. She is so strong. If she's going up against, right now, Amber versus Natalie, depending on the challenge, of course, you know, there's different stipulations, but it's hard to imagine that Amber is someone that they're going to fear. So,
like, in the first Edge of Extinction, it wasn't really, like, challenges per se to find the advantage. It was kind of like a scavenger hunt, which I feel like it's kind of a crapshoot.
Exactly. So there is a chance, and like the thing with Natalie, she's saying, "Oh, my quads burn, all of that." If it's to climb a mountain every time, which it's not going to be, she's going to lose energy eventually. I'm sure Amber might find at some point one token that she can send to Rob or something like that. You know,
if Boston Rob gets an idol, he will be. I don't want to say unstoppable, but like that's like giving a superhero like a loaded weapon. It's like he doesn't. Like he has enough skills.
Yeah.
Personal.
He's Batman with the gun if he has an idol for real. No matter how, even if it's like you have to use this idol in the next 2 tribals, I think that's even worse because he'll be like, all right, fuck it, I'll just play it. You know what I mean? That's even worse.
Make a huge move if he gets an idol that's like power. Probably.
He'll just throw it into another volcano.
Yeah, I can't. Well, to be honest too. All right, this is the one question from before that I had to write down. So I didn't watch Redemption Island because in my rewatch of different seasons, I was like, Rob wins. I know. I was like, why would I even watch it? But my question, right. My question, that's what I'm saying. Like, why would I go back? I mean, no. Like, Andrea is fantastic. I love Andrea outside and inside the game. But my question was, is this a season where Rob makes it to the merge? Because I kind of forgot about Redemption Island. He won, great. But like, Heroes versus Villains, he went down in a blaze of glory. Like, is it really like? Is this like?
I mean,
Marquesas.
He made merge, but not in jury in Marquesas.
Exactly. So it's like, is this another example of Rob having a really, really fantastic pre-merge edit, or do you guys think he's going to go a little further this time?
Well, this was something that I was going to bring up earlier. Is that in the second hour of that Blue Tribe, we saw. I mean, first of all, we saw Jeremy be sad that Natalie went home, and then I think we saw Ben and Michelle kind of meet up, and these are the 2 people who were like the most frazzled in the first hour. Like they were like Michelle was at Tribal saying her head was spinning and she didn't know what was going on and she was nervous, and you saw Ben just like spilling his guts to anybody who looked at him. And it's like in the second hour they had both kind of like gotten their legs under them. They're like, I'm playing Survivor, like I know how to play this game, and they were like, Rob's running the show, and he's not running the show. But I feel like the first hour of Rob and Parvati running it, I don't think that's going to keep happening. I think that after everybody kind of lost their nerves over not being the first one out, everyone is ready to play, and they're not going to be idiots this time.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think Rob will make it till merge, but I do see him kind of ruling Edge of Extinction probably all season though. So maybe that is why they want to keep him in the edit so strong still, because he's still going to be a big part just in the losers bracket.
Yeah. Never going to be a minor character in any season he's on. He's always going to be a major force. And I think there is a path for him, because I mean, people often talk about like a small alliance that's really tight is better than a larger alliance that's like not that loyal. And I mean, I really do think that like Rob, Parvati, and Ethan are like locked in.
Yeah.
I think Danny could go either way. But still, I mean, if those three people really are like holding together and they trust each other, then that's gonna be hard to break up.
And it's interesting because on the same tribe where people are like, Adam and Denise can be the new Malcolm and Denise, which is really only Adam and Denise saying that, we have Rob and Parvati, who could quite literally be a new Adam and Denise, just in a different way. Just in the sense that they're a tight two, they seem committed, and like you said, Ethan's also in there as like an auxiliary person who's also very much committed to them. So if that old school, even trio holds up, they're pretty well insulated. And my thought process going into the next episode is, all right, we're down to 18 people, right? And we're probably going to merge at, let's say, 12, so we can add on a 13th Edge of Extinction person. Let's just say it follows that. If we get past this episode, we're hitting a world where Rob, Parvati, Tyson, Tony, Kim, and Sandra, like those 6, and Jeremy, even, like there's like so many people left that guaranteed, like we're almost guaranteed to have like 3 or 4 of them at the merge, and that alone is like terrifying for anyone else that's not in that like 7-fold of people.
Well, I mean, I think that Boston Rob needs to be terrified of Jeremy right now, because if anybody's going to pull together all of these kind of like stragglers on the blue tribe, it's going to be Jeremy, because right. I think much like Natalie played to avenge Jeremy in her first season, I think that like we could see that storyline mirrored, and like Jeremy is like, I'm out for revenge for Natalie, which I think would be a super compelling storyline, first of all. Right. I'm here for it. But like, he was the person who marched his alliance down to the end in Second Chances, and I could totally see him taking revenge on Boston Rob in the near future.
Yeah. And even though like Jeremy's name came up for debate, he didn't actually get any votes, I'm pretty sure. And
right.
And he in the second part, he showed he was a pretty good challenge asset.
My gosh,
it was crazy.
So like Jeremy, like his first vote, he might have been on the bottom, but like I don't think his name's gonna come up in a long time from now either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's in a pretty good position. Yeah. But if I could go back and change my preseason winner pick, and do my episode 1 winner pick now, I think I'd go with Ethan.
Ethan?
I'm thinking, I'm glad I picked Sophie, but I'd say Sophie and Tyson after the first episode are the 2 standouts for me.
Yeah. I was very, very happy that I chose Tyson first, just in the sense of like, I was going to say, I'm also very big into Edgic too. I know Luke is, but just in the sense of like what the edit is going towards. And he had a lot of emotional content, but I also felt for it. I wasn't thinking of it in the game bond sets. I was just like, he wasn't doing it to like build relationships. He was just doing it on the side where he was like, yeah, man, like I'm just really sad I don't get to hang out with my daughters. I was like, damn, you're right. Like that's kind of sad. like I felt for him. I don't even have a kid. Yeah. So
yeah, my prediction for Ethan is I think he makes the finale. Like I think he's in that like, 4th, 5th, 6th area.
Yeah. Like the fire boot. Someone who like has to go make fire because he has such a compelling story that they're like, no, Ethan, go make fire against like Ben, and Ben wins or something like that.
Yeah. Something like that. Well, we haven't even talked about the Red Tribe yet. Are you ready to talk about the Red Tribe?
Yeah, let's do it.
The Call. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I forget them too. The name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. They got Tony and Sandra being friends, but
yeah,
that's what I like.
I
was paying quite attention to Yule. I mean, we'll have to talk about it because it's not clear, but do you think Yule is maybe the one in charge on the Red Tribe right now?
I have him at the number 1 spot on that tribe. But it's like the number 1 spot in terms of, I think he has the most power, but I don't know if he's the most safe. You know what I mean? Like, I think someone could figure him out, but I think he did call the shots on getting Amber out.
Yeah, I think like it was, I mean, the Poker Alliance was like his thing, I think. Yep. That he was like the propaganda that he was putting out there that ended up becoming the story. But there was like a group around the well that consisted of Tony and Sandra and Sarah and a few others that Yule and Nick weren't a part of that might be like the true force of the tribe. However, yeah, the episode really made it seem like it was kind of Yule and Nick that were like the driving force. So
I feel like it was Yule and Sophie, because I feel like what Sophie laid out was basically the first-time player, or like the one-time players minus Kim, is her, Yule, Wendell, and Nick. In my opinion, that was like presented to us as like that's the core of the tribe. Like those 4 have the most power. And then you kind of have like the two sub alliances of like Sandra, Tony, and Sarah, and then Kim, Tyson, Amber.
Yes.
So I get the sense that like because we saw Sophie and Yul being so close, to me, like those are the top two in my opinion.
If I had to pick like a top 5 right now, like redo it all, put like all my life savings on a top 5 for the season, it would be Yul, Sophie, Nick, Wendell, and Michelle. Michelle,
I about Yul.
You don't feel good about Yul?
I think he got way too much. I mean, this is more edit wise, but he got way too much screen time, and I just kind of feel like every opportunity he had, he was playing up the fact that I don't know what's going on. It's been so long since I played, and I know that like maybe it's a little bit of a contrast for me because we're seeing his confessionals and we're seeing him in camp life, but like people aren't going to fall for that forever because someone's going to realize this guy has power and he's acting like he doesn't, and they're not stupid enough to just not realize it.
And that's what I'm hoping too, because it's not like he's not on a newbie season anymore. He is with the winners. Like that's why I think that it could go either way. I just see from the edit that I'm like, will he make the merge? In my rational mind, I'm like, I wouldn't let Yul make the merge. And I'm like, I don't think winners would let him make the merge. But like, will they? Because I'm like, is he like that perfect threat level where it's like they're not going to go for Robs and Parvati's in the beginning and Sandra's and like people like that and Tony's and stuff like that? Is he that perfect level where they'll just snipe him out like in that first couple rounds? It's like he's definitely someone that is like on the forefront of a social game to get voted out. It's weird. For me, it's like a weird mix where I'm like, he's either going to go all the way or he's like the next one out.
See, I could see him being like the shock pre-merge boot where like he has a huge edit pre-merge and he's just like maybe 1 or 2 votes before the merge happens.
Gone. Yeah. That does seem like it too.
I think as long as he can stay in the majority, he can make, well, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but yeah, like once he's in underdog minority position, he's gone.
Yeah.
But like as long as he can like stay on top the entire time, I could see him going pretty far.
I feel like once we get some tribe swaps too, this game's gonna like blow open, because once we jamble up and like shuffle the deck a little bit, and these players are like gonna have to re-scramble again, we're gonna see even crazier boots.
Yeah.
Because like it's like that's like throws everything out the window again, which even in newbie seasons it does too, and people get swap screwed. But I could really see someone getting really screwed over in a tribe swap this season.
Yeah, I mean, no one's gonna care about their original tribes.
No.
This kind of people will care about their original tribes, like alliances, like Yul and Sophie and Nick and Wendell, I think will stick together. But like as far as the rest of the people in that tribe, I don't think they care.
Right. And we're not getting that this episode, right? I don't know if they previewed it. I don't think we are.
They didn't preview it, but it doesn't mean it couldn't happen, but I don't think I don't think it will.
Yeah, so it'll probably be 16.
Yeah, I don't think the story's at a point where they need to swap yet either.
Yeah. Let it sit for a second.
Still super up in the air.
Yeah.
But with Edge of Extinction being the jury though, I mean, there's kind of no reason for them to just like merge next episode either almost.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. They're not going to merge next episode, but
like in general, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, there might only be like 3 or 4 pre-merge boots. Who knows?
That'd be kind of crazy.
And it's almost like there's a lot of people that you wouldn't want to get to merge. Like if you break it down, probably a lot more than are even possible to get out before merge.
That's why it's crazy. They literally. I'm not saying they screwed themselves over because they're all great players in their own rights, but in a sense, they've really shot themselves in the foot because they're not going to be able to get out all of these huge players before then. They have to start like at 18 and go directly through 13 or 12. And it just seems like it's to the point where like they're not going to get all these big players out. So, which is great as a viewer, because even though there's no like game changer scenario where we're stuck with like a weird final 3 again, it is great in the sense of like, oh no, we pretty much guarantee we're getting like any 3 of the names we listed before, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be too quick to say that we won't get a shit final 3 because it could happen. There's still enough people here that like we could get. Like, if I was going to say, like, who would the worst final 3 be? I don't know, like Sarah, Ben, and Michelle or something like that. Like, that would be terrible.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah.
If Michelle was there, that'd be shitty. I don't know.
Yeah. I would say, like, yeah, I think I would agree. I
don't personally like Nick, but the rest of the fan base seems to not like Nick. So, I mean, for some people, they want to see, like, Nick or Adam in the end. I don't know.
I preferred Nick to Adam, but I don't know why. I don't know how that changed, because for me, like, I always watched Survivor, but when I became like a super fan was Millennials versus Gen X. I don't know. And listen, Adam is a great dude outside the game, and I see his Instagram stories. He does a lot for like charity and stuff. It's really great. But inside the game, I don't know what it is that's changed for me. I'm just like, I don't have any desire to see Adam go any further than the next boot. I don't know what it is.
He's son of a bitch. Like, he is super cocky.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like
And
it.
it showed.
I've never
know.
liked it, honestly.
Right. And for me, I'm like, at least Nick, like, I liked Nick in Dave versus Goliath, but he's not the person I wanted to win. I was just like satisfied with him winning. I was like, that's a good arc. They really edited that well. But I don't know. I agree though. I think like for me, it would have to be also someone like Ben, because this is like the one thing for me going out of this episode. I did not dislike Ben in this episode, and it caught me off guard. It's like crazy. I really didn't like Ben in his first season, and in this episode, I was like, oh, Ben's funny. Ben's just like a nice guy. He's chilling. Like, he really, I mean, he made a horrible game move, but besides that, he's just like hanging out. It was weird.
Yeah, like, I know what you mean when you say that he made a horrible game move, but like, who's coming after Ben? Like, to me, like, Ben just made himself into the perfect goat to take to the end.
Right.
Which is the worst thing you could be. Like, I would rather be Ben right now than Boston Rob.
100%. Because he'll make more money too. Not even for nothing else. For nothing else, he'll make the final three and make more money, and won't have to like starve on the edge of extinction theoretically if he's a goat.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like you can't turn that around. I just, based off of this episode, I would, if I was on the tribe, I'd be thinking, oh, I could beat Ben in the end. Like, no one has respect for Ben. He's just like, in the words of Shawnee, like, it snitches and end up in ditches. Like, it's a snitch. He was just snitching on Danny.
Facts. No, it really is.
All right. Do you guys have any other like comments or anything else you want to talk about the episode? Or you want to get into the power dynamics of the tribes, perhaps?
Can we just talk about Kim Spradlin being on the bottom and like so heartbroken? Maybe like my favorite moment of the episode is like her and Sandra are staying together in the shelter, and Kim is like, "It's me, isn't it? It's me." And Sandra's just like shrugging her shoulders and like laughing, and Kim's like, "You're not gonna tell me who it is?" Nope.
Good luck.
Just like does the biggest eye roll at the camera, but it was just so funny because they're like my two favorite players, and just to see their interaction was just so hilarious to me. Classic Sandra.
I want her to have her army of like one world like zombies that follow her around, but it's just like there's no one on this season that's gonna do it, but I want it so bad, especially with winners.
Michelle.
Amber. Okay, Loki in my head, like I was like, that's when Amber got voted out. I was like, she could have been a Kim zombie, which is Amber's a wonderful lady, very smart. She won the game, obviously, but she easily could have been. And same thing with Michelle too. I feel like if you become friends with Kim, you just end up being one of the zombies if you're not the leader of that alliance. That's what's gonna happen. Same thing with Rob too.
Yeah.
Sandra
too is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Noah.
No, I didn't have anything to say. Yeah.
I was just gonna say it was super impressive for Sandra this episode too. To like, we talked about Boston Rob and Harvey being able to not have a target, but like Sandra was phenomenal in my opinion. I mean, she was running around to everybody. I mean, if you want to talk about Tony running around to everybody, in the edit we saw Sandra going to everybody. I mean, Kim and Amber were strategizing with her about, is it gonna be Nick, and I mean, she was like in every conversation. I felt like.
And she was running around, and that idol, like she said, she was like, and the reason I'm running around is because I have the idol. But even before then, she was making her presence known in a very subtle and very Sandra powerful way. And then when she got the idol, it was like, oh no, you can turn up a little bit. You can play the game you want to play now. Don't worry about it. And the wherewithal, again, for her to be like, I had this idol, and for her to like not just like haphazardly use it to get past the second round, that comes with the amount of experience she has. I agree. I think not only because I have her in our rankings, but just because I love Sandra, and if having her get further in the game means that she has to get an idol from Edge of Extinction, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. She used the token too, which makes it a little better. She just receive it in her bag.
Right.
It's big.
Yeah. And I think she has a good group with her too.
See, and that's what I think about Sandra's position. Is like she is with this group right now, or like she voted with the majority. But like I could totally see next episode if this like Yul, Sophie, Wendell, and Nick alliance is too out in the open. Like there's a remaining 5 people that I could totally see Sandra just like, if she felt like it, if she was in the mood to, she could just like pull the other 5 people all together and like vote out somebody in the 4. Like she's such a free agent.
Right. Going forward, going into the next episode before we do like the rankings, if the blue tribe or the red tribe, Dakal or Saleh, or Saleh or Dakal, go to tribal council, who do you think is next out of either of those two tribes? Because I was thinking about it, and I feel like the Yule Sophie camp, I feel like one of their alliance might go. Like it could even be a Yule. But for the red tribe, like the Dakal tribe, I was so up in the air on it.
The red tribe, maybe I'd probably say Kim right now. The blue tribe, I think, would be a lot different than their first vote. But I think the red tribe might still be following the same path still. Because even Tyson seemed to make his ends with Yule and Nick, and that kind of insulates him. Yeah. But I don't think Kim has any real connections really now that Amber's gone. So
did you guys see what Yule posted?
Yeah, his breakdown of the votes in the first couple days.
Episode, but he said that like he was having conversations with Kim and like Peter that she would be safe, and that him and Sophie were trying to pull Kim in with them. So I do feel like even though we didn't see it in the edit, Kim still might have some people to work with. But I mean, I think Tyson does too. So it's like the 2 people who are on the bottom, I think, are both going to have others advocating for them to stay. So
100%.
It could be someone else completely.
Yeah. It's crazy. I literally going into this episode, normally like on a newbie season, I'd be like, okay, one of the people from this minority alliance is going to go. I couldn't even, at this point, couldn't even keep the tribe straight in my head. So I couldn't imagine who's going home next. And it's going to be a winner. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. For blue tribe, if we break it down, like if Adam and Denise stay on the bottom, I think it would be Denise. But I don't actually think so. I think they might catch on to Parvati and Rob first. And it might be one of those two next. Yeah. I don't think Jeremy's in any trouble, even though he was probably second from the bottom that first vote. But yeah, I think the blue tribe, in my eyes, is a lot more fluid than the red tribe right now.
Yeah.
But I see both is pretty fluid. I have no idea. I couldn't pick who was going home out of either one, honestly.
That was the thought experiment I was trying to do by myself. I literally was like, I couldn't even imagine picking someone, because I know they're gonna come up with not a crazy reason, but a reason that we haven't seen yet. Like it's that recent in the voting block that they're like, we have to get rid of this person right away, no matter what. It could be something as small as they went off by themselves, like Denise and Adam. Like I wouldn't have predicted that coming into it, but going into it, I was like, it makes sense if I really thought. Before the season, without any other knowledge, I was like, it makes sense if Adam and Denise work together. And when they got together, I was like, oh, great, that makes sense, perfect. But then they walked off, and I was like, well, no. So it's so hard to predict, not only who's going to work together, but then, how are they going to function in the game? So I was just curious, because for me, I was like, there's no shot of me choosing.
Okay, do you guys really think it was that big of a deal that they walked off together to find the water well? Because, Jeremy gave a confessional during that time where it's like, oh, they did the most unforgivable thing. They walked off together. I'm like, who gives a crap? Wasn't everybody walking off to get I don't know, people were gonna have to walk off to get stuff for the shelter. It was gonna happen eventually. They were just the first 2 to do it, and people happened to notice.
Right.
Rob and Parvati walked off by themselves.
I think it's just so early on when no one wants to be the first out. And kind of everyone just wants to be in the majority. You're looking for almost any excuse to just throw someone under the bus and force them to be the minority. Yeah. And I think that's basically what happened with them.
Yeah, it was they, on their tribe, were the ones that weren't paranoid enough. Everybody else was paranoid. And it's Adam and Denise, didn't think twice about walking off, because who cares? These are all winners. They're not going to make a decision based off of who walked off together in the first 5 minutes. But I think it's to show that everybody was looking for any reason to off.
Well, exactly. For the same reason that the Poker Alliance became such a big deal too. It's just because that's just a reason to make these people the targets.
Right.
Yeah, and so I don't know, because it's everyone has such a big target already. Yeah. It's just you just do one mistake and then you're thrown under the bus trying to fight your way from the bottom, especially so early on.
Yep.
All right. You guys want to talk about the tribe dynamics now? See who's on bottom and top? Try and figure that out.
Let's do it.
And I misplaced my pen. There it is. Okay. So I didn't really have any idea on maybe who was on the top for either tribe, except for maybe Yule on Red Tribe, and it seems like you guys probably agree with that.
I had him as number 1 on Red.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep that.
And then, so you were thinking Sophie was his sidekick, and for some reason in my head I was thinking Nick might be more, but you're probably right. I just kind of don't remember Sophie in the episode at all. I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry.
No,
you're like, come
totally
on.
It's totally on me. I've even seen her season, so I'm familiar with her. I just don't remember anything she actually did in the episode.
Well, I mean, she laid out the dynamics, and she had some confessional about how, like, Yule was her nerd shield. Like, she's never going to be the most in the tribe as long as Yule is there.
Right.
Which I thought that was great.
So,
Jeremy has his meat shield, and Sophie has a nerd shield.
So if we think Yule's at the top, then what do you think the breakdown of like his group would be? Like, would Sophie be next, or do you think like maybe the other 3 and his 4 are kind of on an equal plane?
I would say Nick is at the bottom of the alliance just because other people were saying his name and he got a vote. So it's like people were willing to like let Nick take a vote at Tribal Council. Whereas like I don't think anybody would have let Sophie or Wendell have a vote against them. So in my opinion, Yule, Sophie, Wendell, Nick as the top 4.
I agree in the sense that Sophie understands that she needs Yule to insulate her. So while Yule has all the power, Sophie also has power in the sense that she's like autonomously letting him be number 1 and not like stepping out in front. And then Wendell, I would put as a little bit ahead of Nick for the same reason, just in the sense that he's keeping people out in front of him. He's a little silent right now, but he is having a social game with like Sandra and Tony and building those relationships like around the camp. And Nick isn't in any way weak. It's just in terms of those 4, he comes off as like weak because he got a vote. You know, he's a little like cold in the game. So
yeah, well, Sandra came back and told Nick like, "Hey, they're saying your name because they think you're shady and you're the most recent winner." It's like that's accurate. So exactly. I don't blame him for like being on the bottom of that board. Honestly, for Nick, like he could have been the first one out. So I think just surviving for him, like I think being like 4th in this tribe is like way better than I expected for Nick.
Yeah,
100%.
Okay. Do we want to maybe agree on who's at the bottom of the tribe before we figure out what the middle is?
Yeah.
I have Tyson and Kim. Kim at the bottom, Tyson just right above her. I mean, I don't necessarily think Tyson is going to stay in that position moving forward, but like right now, he seemed like he was maybe the 3rd option for the vote, although he does have his connections with the people at the top. So I don't think he'll stay there, and that's what makes him higher than Kim, at least.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I would say Kim at the bottom and then Tyson right above her.
I agree, too.
Tyson at 8, Kim at 9.
Okay.
The middle's a little weirder because there's like Sandra, Sarah, Tony, and I'm not saying, I don't know if they're equal, but like in terms of their alliance, it seems like they're all pulling strings in different directions. But it's seemingly, at least from the edit, that Sarah would be the least powerful of the 3. I don't know if you guys agree, but she seems like she's not pulling as many strings as Tony and Sandra are.
Yeah. Just know that Tony's name got thrown out too. So I Sandra is number 5.
I agree.
Because I think that she had so much influence this episode, whereas Tony and Sarah, like we saw Tony wanted to vote out Tyson because Tyson wanted to vote out Tony, so to that extent. But he didn't ultimately get his way, so I feel like Sandra wanted Amber out, and she got her way.
Exactly.
So I would say, and then Tony and Sarah, I really don't care. I think it's a toss-up. I don't think we saw enough to really say who has more power. Yeah. But I would say that Sarah is safer.
Yeah.
I would say it looks like Tony's tighter with Sandra than Sarah is.
Yeah.
True.
So would that put Tony above Sarah, do you think?
I think Sarah's like the true neutral of the tribe, not necessarily the middle, but I would agree in the sense that Tony is actually pulling strings. Sarah is keeping a low profile, which is good for her, but it also means that she's not as powerful as Tony now.
I think it depends if you're talking about power or safety, because Tony is more powerful, but I think Sarah's more safe.
Exactly.
All right. I think for this, we want to go with like kind of more like the power dynamic.
Okay.
Yeah. So Tony a little bit ahead of Sarah.
At 6. Sarah's at 7.
All right. And this one, I'm not like for fantasy points. I'm not like picky on like having each one be in a specific order. Like, yeah, I've had it before where like 5 people were on the same level.
Right.
They all just shared the points.
Right.
Like, especially like if a tribe was split evenly and there wasn't a majority or minority, but there was clearly 2 sides, then I just like had like the top people of each alliance just share the same spot and go from there. But all right, you want to do blue tribe?
Yeah.
So,
All right, so this one's tricky.
Mm-hmm.
weird.
So if Michelle hadn't said in the episode that she was left out of the vote, I would have had no idea.
Yeah, she voted
Right.
wrong too, if you noticed.
She voted wrong, but she didn't vote by herself. Although
True.
the person I think she voted with was Natalie.
Yeah,
Right.
I think Natalie and Michelle voted for Denise, and then
Yes.
Jeremy voted for Adam.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have it in front of me too. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Which is
So,
interesting.
so throwing Michelle in there, she's a little like the 4 people I have on the bottom of that tribe right now is Adam, Denise, Jeremy, and Michelle. I think out of maybe all of those, Jeremy is the highest.
Right.
But
I think Jeremy the lowest.
You think Jeremy's the lowest out of all of them?
I just feel like, aren't people going to know how pissed he is? Like, I think that he's going to be able to hide it, but it's like, they just blindsided his number 1 ally. I think in terms of challenge strength, they'll keep him around, but I do think that people have their eye on him, and I'm pretty flexible on this tribe. Like, I have no idea who's on the top or bottom in this tribe, really. So
It's weird because Adam in and of himself was in the minority, but Adam also made the winning drive to get rid of Natalie.
right,
So it's like, how do you label him? And I think that kind of goes back to what Noah's saying. Maybe it comes down to like we have to put some people on like maybe 3 tiers or 4 tiers of like power, and then just give them points based on that average. Because it's very like weird. Because I agree, it's like hard to decipher between Michelle and Jeremy's power level. You know?
yeah,
I was thinking Adam and Denise would still like be on the chopping block next week potentially, like unless something flipped. But like,
I think so.
Yeah. So that can keep them on the
Throw
bottom.
out new names, like their names have already been thrown out as options, so it's easier to just keep saying Adam and Denise.
Right.
And I think I had Denise lower just because she had more votes than Adam.
That's a good reason. And also, like, I was just going to say, if you think about it, I could imagine Adam and Ben maybe reconvening because they did have a little screen time. But
Yeah.
Denise, I'm like, who would Denise throw a bone to?
Yeah,
You know? Sadly.
no relationships shown in her edit
Yeah.
for Adam, which is not good.
Right. So maybe
Yeah.
Denise sit towards the bottom too. Maybe even the bottom.
Okay. I think I could, put Denise at the bottom. And then would Adam be above her? Or do you think Jeremy would? Well, I think now that Jeremy doesn't have Natalie, they're not going to give a crap about voting him out for a
I agree.
while. That's kind of just what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But like he'll still be on the bottom because he was blindsided, I believe. In that
That's the
vote.
thing is like, do you want a mad Jeremy in the game? Like,
No.
I would be terrified if I knew that I just voted out Jeremy's number 1 ally and I
Yeah.
left him in the game. Like, I would be shitting my pants. Like,
Yeah.
Boston Rob should be scared of Jeremy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I guess I would say Denise 9, and we can put Adam 8 and then Jeremy 7, because I do think like
Yeah.
Jeremy's great at challenges and like
True.
they might just keep him around for that.
That is a good point. I didn't even consider challenges, and I think since he did pull out such a clutch win, that's enough to squeak out like a 7
Right.
in a tribe.
Yeah, I think I worked with that. And does that put Michelle 4th from the bottom?
Yeah,
That's fair.
6.
Okay.
She's in like the Sarah spot on the other tribe, which makes kind of sense. That's a little weird to think about, but it's pretty parallel.
Yeah, at the top, I put Ethan, which maybe is a little bit controversial, but I just feel like he is in that trio of 3, but he is by far the least threatening of those 3, and I feel like we'll have the fewest number of people gunning for him.
I don't disagree with that because I can, if I'm thinking forward of power being like your social game and like who you can like also strategically work with, I could see Ethan throwing a line out to the other side and then biting it. Whereas Parvati and Rob, they are probably going to be out sooner than him.
Did you see the secret scene of Ethan like spitting up rice? Oh my gosh, you guys
I
have to
haven't
go.
seen it yet.
It's
I
it's
know they
the
had them yet.
thing. So Ethan, after he eats, like can like willingly like regurgitate his food and then like eat it again.
What?
Yeah.
Why would you
It's-
want to do that?
Yeah, what's like
How
the...
would you figure
But
that
it
out?
tastes so good, I want to taste it a second time.
That's crazy.
And like literally, like the whole tribe is gathered around. He's just like holding court, like, guys, guess what I can do? And he like, it's kind of like a party trick where he just like swallows his rice and like he opens his mouth and like, there's nothing in there, right? There's nothing in there. And then he'll like regurgitate it and like stick out his tongue again and show them. It was so weird.
Yo. Okay, so honestly, why does that make me feel like he has good standings on this tribe?
It-
Like what?
Because
I think
he's
he's-
funny.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
I
You
think
can tell.
he's definitely top half, and like even
Yeah.
if his alliance with Rob and Parvati end up being the minority, I think even if his whole alliance gets wiped out, they'll eat each other before they actually work on taking out
Yeah.
Ethan.
I agree. I think that's enough to put him number one. Not that he's not a threat. I think just in the pre-merge, he is just not a threat at all.
Okay.
I think he's going to be in on every plan that happens, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe not if Boston Rob is getting voted out, but I feel like for the most part, Ethan's just like a number that people are going to pull in. I think that's great for his
I
social.
agree.
So Ethan at top, and then so do you think Rob and Parvati would be next, or maybe even Danny before them?
Ooh.
I actually put Ben number 2. We don't have to keep
Ben.
him there. But I just feel like he was the person, aside from Ethan, who we saw like so many people were talking to Ben. Ben was in like
Fair.
almost every scene, I feel like. So he may not have any. And again, this is a difference between power and safety. He's like, I don't know if he's going to be dictating what happens, but he's going to know all the information.
My thought process is, do Parvati and Rob have to go back to back? Like, does it have to be 2 Parvati, 3 Rob since they work together? Because in my eyes, if Parvati and Rob are the... No, are they the engineer? No. Never mind, I take it back. Because I was going to say, if they're the engineer of the vote out, but Adam was the engineer of the vote out. Never mind. I was going to say, because Parvati... Like, since Ben told Rob information, doesn't that put him lower than Rob? But I agree with what you're saying because he has better time.
Yeah, it's just like everybody trusts
Was in
Ben.
every conversation. Yeah.
See, it's like, yeah, I think he's well insulated and like
Yeah.
he'll survive a long time, but like this is more like I don't know, just like who has the biggest say, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say he has more power than Danny.
Definitely than Danny. I agree.
He has more options than Danny.
I think Danny, out of the people that's left, is at the bottom of it, in my eyes.
I feel like Danny should be number 5.
Yeah, I agree.
And then
That's-
that leaves us with Ben, Parvati, and Rob. And we can put Ben as 4 if you guys are not feeling like he's very powerful because I'm flexible.
Yeah, I could put Ben as 4th. That's
Okay.
it.
And that's what I'm saying. Between Parvati and Rob, is Rob more powerful because he got information out of Ben, or is Parvati more powerful because she is able to like go make other social chances? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like we did see Parvati being the one, like with a bunch of players around, being like, "Okay, guys, we're
Yeah.
deciding." It's like the moderator of like the strategic discussion, which is funny.
Well,
I personally feel like Parvati is less likely to be voted out than Rob, so I would put her 2.
Yes. I agree. Because Rob got information, but I agree Rob could be the next one out, and because of that, I don't think that means he has power, as much power as Parvati, even if it's like a slight difference.
okay.
I think it's close.
Yeah,
But-
it's really close.
Yeah, we'll say Parv 2, Rob 3.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Is that everyone on that tribe?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll add these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
So
Just a little side note that I
yeah,
noticed in the episode. I saw on Twitter somebody said that like, oh, it's so sad that like Amber has to watch, or Amber's kids like have to watch their mom getting voted out. Like that's so sad. But there was a moment in the episode where Parvati and Rob were talking, and Parvati was like, "Oh, don't you have like 4 kids you left at home?" And he goes, yeah, somebody found something they're good at. I'm like, oh my gosh. You have 4 daughters that are like under the age of like 10 at home. And they're gonna watch their dad saying that he's good at having sex with their mom. Like,
I
what
couldn't.
do you do, Rob?
That took me out of it. Like the first 20 minutes, I was like, "Winners at war," and then he said that, and I was like, "Maybe I don't want this."
So embarrassing.
I was like, "Maybe I could go another year without having this, another 10 years without this, or forever." I'd be dope for forever. If that was a secret scene, I would have been happy.
Yeah.
Like that's some secret scene shit.
No, but for real, go watch that secret scene of Ethan. I'll kill you.
Yeah, I need that.
Was that just on YouTube, like Survivor CBS or something?
I know it's on like the CBS like website, but I'm in like a Facebook group that like the moderator posts.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Facebook group. I think I met you in, Noah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they just
think both
posted
of
it.
you
I just
can.
didn't watch it.
You know what? Oh my gosh. You, Patrick, and JC all came from that place.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's funny.
yeah.
shout out to Travis Spoken if anybody
Travis-
wants to join.
Travis Spoken. We should post this there. I'll ask Andy.
Yeah, go ahead. See, it's like I posted like the same ad on 4 different Reddit sites
Yeah,
and just one on Facebook. But yeah, you
Facebook goes
guys-
strong, man. We are a tight knit group. Travis
Yeah.
Spoken goes hard.
We're gonna watch on My Survivor Australia.
Me
Meets all
too.
my International Survivor needs.
All the Shawnee memes too. We really get them.
The Sean Tent.
Oh yeah, I still haven't actually seen the last episode this week of Australian Survivor.
Ooh, it's
Just because Luke freaked me out about Nick.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
I was already really passionately anti-Nick before he said that. So.
And I don't feel like the edit is anti-Nick. I just feel like based off of what you said is annoying you, it keeps going.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
so
it's just Nick, you're ruining my entertainment.
I really like him though because he is the biggest Shawnee stan, and that's just like the most relatable person to me on the Cats. It's like if you love Shawnee, then I love you too.
yeah. Honestly, word. And then like. Well, okay, I won't spoil the last episode then, but you do have to watch it. Okay, so that's what I was gonna bring up if we talked about it anyway, but I'll wait. I texted Luke about it anyway, so we'll wait. We'll let our Australian peeps do their thing.
You
then
can
next
talk
week we'll
about
come
it. I might have had it spoiled because I think I saw you were saying Nick posted like a Twitter thing breaking down his boat, and I think I saw that, but I didn't read all of it. But I also thought he was talking about the episode that I did see.
Right.
But after seeing the episode, I don't think that was the case. I think he was talking about the next one. So
Okay, there is something I still don't want to spoil it for you because I feel like there is still something unexpected that happens. So
It is a twist, and has it been seen in Australian before? I don't know if it has
many
been.
times, Pat.
Oh no, you're killing me.
is it? Is someone voted out but not voted out?
Yeah, it's a non-elimination.
That's so dumb.
Which for me, I haven't seen any Australian season besides the last one. Which I don't know if they do it in that one. I can't remember. Do they?
They do something. They do an exile twist in the second champs versus contenders where the 2 people that got voted out, which were like Daisy and somebody else.
I know
Simon,
you're talking.
And
It was definitely Daisy.
I want to say it was Daisy and Simon
Yeah.
got voted out and went to exile and did a battle, and then Simon won it. Maybe it wasn't Simon though. I just don't remember anything about Simon hardly. So I
I
think
don't even remember a Simon.
he like had like confessional
Daisy,
like 7th place. Simon Black was like a rugby player or whatever.
Yes. Yes.
Rugby player.
was it Simon or Sean?
There was a Sean too on the contenders, but there was
Oh.
Simon Black from the Champions tribe.
Okay.
Anyways, it's basically we don't know what exactly it is, but like the 2 people that get voted out go to exile, but we don't know what happens in exile. We don't know if they're doing a battle, if they're getting back on the game, like both of them or just one of them. So it's very ambiguous, and we won't know what happens till next episode.
Okay.
It says there was a kidnap in Champions versus Contenders too. Is that a thing?
There is a kidnap in
Is that different?
I know the first season. That's what screwed Phoebe over. Is this woman named Sue got like kidnapped by the other tribe.
Okay.
And then there was like something where 2 people that got voted out just automatically went to the other tribe. That happened in 2017.
Okay,
with
so it's like
Martha and Annalise. So I mean they do these non-eliminations every single year because they have to meet like a certain number of episodes to fill the time slot, and like they don't want to do more than 24 people because it's already insanity.
They should. Why not though?
30.
I'd be down.
Yeah, I'd rather have 26 people than have like 2 or 3 non-eliminations.
I'm the same way. And that's another thing, not to bring it back to 40, that makes me mad, because I just listened to the RHAP, like, Tina Weston episode, and her and Mike,
so good.
I know, her and Mike Holloway really wanted to be on this season, and, like, I'm, like, indifferent towards Mike. He's, like, I'm sure a nice dude, but, like, Tina, Mike, Vesepia, all these people said they wanted to play. You couldn't find, like, one other person and make it a 24-person season. I don't know. It's just, like, a whole thing, but...
Tina, I was not prepared for how good Tina was on that podcast. She was hilarious.
Yes. Noah, you have to listen to it if you haven't. It's really good.
And I'm like not even that big of a Tina Weston fan.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm not like she's fine. I like her. But
Yeah.
after the episode, I was like, oh, we have to see Tina back. She's so funny.
Yes, I felt the same way. Beforehand, I was like, I guess Tina's lived her life. She's fine. She doesn't want to play again. But after the podcast, I'm like, yo, I like Legend Season. We need Tina Weston. Like, I stand Tina. 5th time's the charm, or 4th time's the charm, whatever her season designation would be. But yeah.
Have you guys been watching any of like Richard Hatch's videos that he's been putting out all of a sudden?
They pop up in my feed, but I don't know. Have you seen them? Because I've only watched the first one.
I've seen a few. I haven't seen all of them by far, but
Yeah.
they're pretty interesting. And it sounds like him and Tina were supposed to be on the season, and then yeah, they just weren't. And Richard was saying because he thinks that after they found out 39 with Dan was going to be so controversial that
Yeah.
almost as soon as he was supposed to leave, they like told him not to come because I guess of the All-Stars thing probably.
Yeah.
And I haven't listened to any of his videos, but the way that he tells it, it sounds like he was like ready to go out. Whereas Tina talked about in the podcast that like she got contacted, but then they never called her back. So like Tina just got like one initial call, like, would you be interested? But it sounds like Hatch was like actually prepared to go and play. So I wonder if there was like a somewhat, or maybe like some like kind of alternate player that got on instead of Hatch. But I don't think Tina was ever like, getting shocked or anything.
Yeah. I don't know if it was you guys who said it or if it was JC in our group chat, but the idea of Boston and Rob being the alternate, because, and this is like, for people watching, we have had a conspiracy theory within our group chat of figuring out, did Sandra and Rob really not know that they were both going to be on the season? But maybe that's what happened. Honestly, maybe they'll mention it after. I mean, I don't really see it, but I think Rob just had a change of heart and realized he can make money if he goes on the season. But there is something to be said that maybe the Dan stuff happened. They kicked him off around day 36. Rob goes home and is his alternate, and he didn't realize that he was going to be on the season.
I don't think Rob is an alternate. I think he's like a must-have for an all-winner season. But I'm not saying it's impossible, but I just don't see it.
There was
that he just really didn't want to do it.
There was an interview with Jeff I saw where he was talking about getting a hold of everyone and trying to get the whole cast together. And I should try and go and find, but for some reason I think there was something in that video that made it seem like Boston Rob didn't know about or hadn't decided to go on season 40 until after season 39.
Yeah, I do think that was the case, and that's why I think this whole like Sandra Rob thing happened. Is like I think that it's possible Rob actually didn't know for sure that he was going to be on 40 when they were on 39.
Right.
So I think that's where a lot of the stuff comes in, which makes it super funny that Sandra voted out Amber because I don't know, like a miscommunication. I don't.
Yeah. Dan has ruined something else in the Survivor world. He has gotten Amber voted out of a season just from him switching someone out.
But then I was also thinking, part of my theory too was like they wanted a group of old school and middle, and new school, and then now, and having Richard and Tina would have maybe flopped it to the old school side. So maybe it was actually maybe Ethan or Danny that were like the alternates or something.
Yeah. Because Ethan was very sick, and he said it was very hard for him to get on the show just with medical. So maybe they were like, only under like direct circumstances will you come on. And they were like, Ethan, we really need you. Let's try and get this ball rolling. And if that's the case, then I don't dislike Rich, but I'm like, all right, well, if we got Ethan, I'd almost prefer him because the way he's playing his game. I wouldn't change anything about what we have so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to see any of these people being alternates because they're all like legends. But I mean, like Richard Hatch is, the first winner. So
yeah, that's big.
It would have been great to have him on, but
yeah.
I don't know. Like I love Richard Hatch in the sense that like what he did for Survivor, and I think that like the legacy of him is super cool. I don't necessarily like who he is like as a person. I think he's kind of obnoxious, but I would have preferred to have him on the season, but I'm not. I don't know, this whole thing about of making videos of why he's not on. It's just like, just let it go.
Exactly.
In my opinion.
Well, I don't know. I watched his video last night. It was like a 20-minute video on why he went to prison.
Oh my god.
The whole tax evasion thing, but like, I don't know, his story was like fascinating because it was like he got screwed by the justice system. I read an
article about that a few months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like from his point of view, it was like he did everything right. His lawyers and bosses his accountants was helping him do everything right, but they had a question kind of like where they had to get in touch with CBS to see what taxes CBS had already paid to like a different country because that would affect how much he'd have to pay, but then CBS never got back to him. And so there was like a thing where he like asked the IRS, okay, like I don't know what I'm doing, so tell me what I need to do so I can do it right. And they called it like a civil inquiry, and his attorneys were telling him that if you do like a civil inquiry to the IRS like that, then like there's nothing wrong. That's just you asking them a question. But then for some reason, like asking them for help got their attention, and then the IRS just changed it to a criminal inquiry. And then all of a sudden, like the IRS and the prosecutors are coming down on him. And it sounds like they got a judge in place that didn't like him and just tried to ruin everything. And yeah, it sucks.
It sounds wild.
It sounds like his first 2 weeks in prison, he went straight to solitary confinement already. Like he didn't even go to prison at first. It was like the judge had gotten in touch with the jail and be like, don't even let this person visit his cell. Just take him to solitary confinement first. It's like rough.
For taxes too, that's pretty insane.
It's
usually like white collar prison, especially for someone who's like not. I mean, if a Survivor winner now went to prison, I'm sure it would be like a normal prison. But like he was like a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like yeah, for real. Him and Tina, like the first couple of winners, and Ethan even like that. Those first three, like they got a lot of notoriety, and that's what Tina mentions in the podcast too. She said like she was home like at the most 5 days a month or 6 days a month those first 2 years. Like that's how busy she was. So you would think, oh yeah, well we're gonna send you to prison, but he is a rich person. You think in our country, especially, they'd be like, well let's just put him in prison for like a month or something. But that's crazy. I definitely want to listen to that and see how that was.
Really kind of like made it almost seem like the judge knew of Richard before the judge took the case.
Right.
Because like he said, the judge like volunteered or requested to be the judge on his case. And like the judge already, like maybe he did know Richard from the season and didn't like him as a villain type thing.
Right.
It just really,
I don't know.
Just really
there's two sides to every story. I'll just say that. I don't know. Yeah. It's hard for me to just like believe everything that Richard Hatch says.
There's a meta game to real life, and someone's trying to vote him out. That's why he's in prison, bro. He's on the edge of extinction. He's chilling.
Yeah. All right. So, do you want to hear these fantasy draft points?
Real quick, yep. Break it down for our people.
I don't want to hear them because I lost 2 people.
Okay, those were both of yours? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, they're both mine, and Kim got votes too. So it's like -1 for every vote, so I'm already in the shitter.
Oh my god.
I didn't keep track of who's on whose team. Well, I mean, I haven't double checked that, but I can tell you every cast member's points so far. All right. Tyson has 6.
Sweet.
Sophie has 12. Sandra has 10. Wendell has 12. Yoel has 14. Sarah has 8. Amber has -3.
Damn.
Kim has 3. Tony has 8. Nick has 10. Natalie has -8. Danny has 9. Jeremy has 5. Ben has 10. Michelle 6. Adam 4. Rob 12. Parvati 12. Denise 4. And Ethan 13.
Oh my god. How much does Ethan have?
13.
God. Guys,
he's number 1 on his tribe.
I think I have 51 points.
Okay.
Because I know it probably averages out to like 5 points.
Right.
Yeah, next time I'll make sure how many each of us points have. I'll have
Coming
that
into
already
it.
calculated out. But
Well,
I haven't.
But if you don't, it's fine. You don't have to.
We can just start from 0.
Drafts, no big deal. Let's not even think about the drafts.
Forget the
Well,
draft.
since Edge of Extinction exists, you could, in theory, still find someone to trade Natalie or Amber for.
I'm open for business, guys. Just let me know.
I'm not interested.
I honestly, I could see Natalie coming back, so I think you
I will
have
give you Natalie and Amber.
for nothing. Just take them.
Hey, Amber's -3 isn't too big of a blow, I think.
And I'm sure she'll find an idol for Rob. I don't know if that counts for points, but
Yeah, can people earn points on Edge of Extinction or no?
I don't know. We decided
I feel like personally that would be great, but I feel like as far as the game goes, I feel like let's not keep track of Edge of Extinction points. That's kind
too
of
much.
all right.
Yeah.
This also doesn't include confessionals either, because we hadn't talked about whether confessionals should include any points or not.
Right.
So, do we want to do confessionals? And if so, how many points? And if so, do Edge of Extinction confessionals count?
I feel like for this season, 1, because JC's not here today, but also 2, since we started it and made our drafts without confessionals, we might as well just leave it out for now. And then next season we can bring it in.
Yeah, I kind of picked people knowing that there wasn't confessional points. So
Me
I feel
too.
like let's roll with that for now.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. And that makes my job slightly easier.
Also that.
All right.
Well,
Yeah.
guys, if there's one thing we learned, it's get a lawyer if you win Survivor. And we don't know who's getting voted out next week, so.
Do you want to place a bet, maybe?
If I had to
Or
say,
just call it.
Boston Rob, that's mine.
You know what? I'll agree with that.
Double down.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just to be interesting, I will say Danny.
Okay.
Okay.
We think that tribe's going no matter what. That tribe's going on tribal council. The call, they're going. Right? Is it the call? Yeah. No? Yeah.
I just can't see
I
anybody.
think lose Soleil.
See, it's LA? Yeah, it's LA. My bad.
Yeah.
See, I don't even know.
I can't see anybody on Red leaving. Like I can't picture any of them getting voted out.
Yeah. Queen stays queen, man.
Queen stays queen.
All right. So thank you for tuning in to our Super Reality Family Podcast. I'm Noah. This is Luke and Patrick. Do you guys have any Twitter plugs or something you want to
No.
shout out? No?
Yo,
All
if
right.
y'all are watching, leave a comment.
Yeah, leave a comment, like, subscribe, whatever. Hopefully someday we'll have an audio version podcast on like Spotify or iTunes podcasts. But right now you can find us here on YouTube. There you go.
Bye, guys.
Hi guys.
See you later. Bye.